Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. And, I'm just going to tell a big secret. Cindy's eating a piece of pie that I made, and I just kind of caught her by surprise because I said, we got to just do a video on this. And I feel there's some big things going down right now.
Yes, thank you for letting me redeem myself. It is really good pie, by the way.
Oh, I think it was one of the best crusts I've ever made. But anyway, active sunspot region 4294 is rotating into view. It is active. And so chances are over, the next week or so, we might see ourselves some decent size flares. Maybe we'll get an X-class flare. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a Carrington event. We're going to have to see. But yeah, it feels like things are really ratcheting up. So, Airbus has ordered urgent software changes for about 6,000 family jets, A320s, worldwide after a JetBlue flight suffered a flight control computer data corruption induced by solar radiation. This is huge. In fact, this article on Zero Hedge goes into bigger detail. Holy crap, do you know what this means? To me, this strikes me as enormous news. And I was wondering for a long time, I've been wondering what could be the triggering event that grounds all the airplanes on planet Earth. Because, we did this twice. I think actually 3 times. Cindy went under and direct channeled these kids from the future. And they talked about all the airplanes all around the world being grounded, and nobody flies in airplanes anymore. And when we were talking about some massive changes, because they also had talked about when the giants come and start to run what they call cell cities, i.e. smart cities, directly. These human-looking giants that are everything you see when you look at that representation we were showing the other day of Gilgamesh holding a lion like it's a little kitty cat, that type of giant. Actually being here on planet Earth starting in 2035, literally running the smart cities on Earth. Well, they had said again that no airplanes fly. And so I was always wondering about what would be the triggering event for that. Is it literally that the Earth has gone through some sort of kind of alien control shift where humans are no longer in control at all, or not even apparently in control? And thus humans are not allowed to use certain technology like airplanes to get around? Is it because they've built those underground? And think about this too. Elon wanting to build underground tunnels for trains that could literally take you from New York to Paris in literally like an hour or something. What if it's because of intense solar radiation that will keep increasing and making things like airplane flying unsafe, but yet maybe tunnels in the earth for very high-speed rail would be safe. This is just something that's kind of like one of those, well, you know what? That kind of makes a little logical sense, well, at least maybe for crazy people like us.
It does give you a moment to pause and, you can start turning your perspective into all different types of angles and understanding.
Now, this is not every plane everywhere. This is one specific one that had problems. But we know that we're in a position where the magnetic pole, whether it's a complete pole reversal that sticks, whether it turns out to be just another excursion, only time will tell. Yet the situation geomagnetically on the Earth is deteriorating in a sense as we go towards that event time frame. So everything like this is only going to keep getting worse. It's only going to get more tenuous. So, it might just be the A320s right now, but it could end up being something else later on. So this really hit me as very curious. Airbus issued an alert operations transmission to all airlines operating A320 family aircraft. Urgent fixes required. They believe it's the first time this specific problem has emerged in its fleet. Says it has proactively worked with aviation authorities, keeping safety as their number one overriding priority. Airbus acknowledges these recommendations will lead to operational disruptions to passengers and customers. Airbus told CNN on Saturday most of its narrow-body aircraft can be repaired in a matter of hours by simply reverting to the previous software. It said about 900 older aircraft would need more complicated fixes. Here's more. American Airlines has about 209 of the aircraft need to be updated, less than 340 and earlier predicted. Delta has fewer than 50 of its A321neo aircraft that will be impacted. Work should be completed by Saturday morning. JetBlue, which operates the fleet made up of A320 and A321 aircraft, did not say how many of their airplanes need to be fixed, but they already started repairs. I think it was JetBlue. I had flown in one of those before a couple of times. Southwest Airlines does not have any of the impacted aircraft. Meanwhile, in the Asia Pacific, Jetstar Airways Australia, Air New Zealand, Indigo, and Air India Express are all taking precautionary measures. At cruising altitude, commercial jets are exposed to 100 to 300 times more solar radiation than at ground level, and a major solar storm can push that even higher. High-energy particles can disrupt modern avionic processors, including corrupting memory or causing a logic error. While Airbus hasn't specified what flight systems were affected, it gives you the likely candidates: flight control primary computers, air data and inertial reference units, FADEC engine control, autopilot, flight director, fly-by-wire actuator, command modules. So this is really interesting. Airbus's warning is an unusual confirmation of space weather risk to the modern economy, something that we've been warning about for years. Absolutely. And look at how often everything seems to go down and how our technology seems to be getting worse. In my mind, it certainly is functioning worse. So when I asked Brave's AI, what's going on with that geomagnetic excursion, speeding up or what? Yeah, the Earth's magnetic field is undergoing rapid changes, particularly in the movement of magnetic North Pole, which has accelerated significantly over recent decades. Since the 1970s, speed of North Magnetic Pole has increased about 10 kilometers or 6 miles per year. Now, it's interesting because they always give us the standard depth of a shallow earthquake as that exact 10 kilometers, 6 miles, to nearly 50 kilometer or 30 miles per year by 2015, prompting an early update to the International Geomagnetic Reference Field in 2019, and that was one of the biggest videos we ever did talking about that. Due to large positional errors, the corruption of the data. This is huge. We see more red sprites than ever. We see more unusual weather and all. It's all pointing towards some major events, and many people are expecting huge changes, perhaps in the time period between now and the 2040s. And we do too. We do expect there to be a lot. The accelerations linked to changes in the geodynamo process, specifically the shifting balance between two dominant flux lobes in the northern hemisphere, one weakening over Canada, one strengthening over Siberia. While these changes resemble features associated with geomagnetic excursions, so that's when it doesn't hold and do a complete reversal, it snaps back. Such as rapid pole movement and field weakening, current scientific consensus does not indicate that a full excursion or reversal is imminent. The scientists say no. We don't have any proof. The magnetic field has weakened globally by about 9% over the past 200 years, But this is within the range of natural variability and is not necessarily indicative of a coming reversal. The last major excursion, the Lachamps event, happened, they say, 41,500 years ago. I always have to say they say. And involved a significant drop in field intensity and a temporary reversal of polarity before returning to normal. Studies of sediment records from the Drake Passage and other regions confirm that such excursions are characterized by abrupt shifts in field direction and intensity, often terminating rapidly. Although some researchers have speculated the current rate of change could lead to a reversal by the 2040s. That was initially what we had gotten again in Cindy's channelings, was that the big solar events happened in around 2044, 2045. That was a while ago, back to like 2019, 2020. So, again, timelines are always changing. It does feel like we're in a more positive timeline, but that doesn't mean that this might not have sped up, or it could have slowed down, or we still may be on that same track. The duration of excursions is estimated to range from a few hundred to several thousand years. That's a long time period for the excursion to be taking place, with some studies suggesting durations of 5,000 to 10,000 years. That's many, many generations. The field's behavior during excursions is driven by complex fluid dynamics in the outer core, while the solid inner core's magnetic inertia potentially delaying full reversal. However, the exact mechanism remains uncertain. No evidence links excursions to major climate changes or to mass extinctions. Again, so says the AI. In summary, while the Earth's magnetic field is exhibiting signs of rapid change, such as accelerated pole drift and localized intensity variations, these are consistent with known patterns of secular variation and excursions, not definitive evidence of impending reversal. The current acceleration is notable, but doesn't imply that a geomagnetic excursion or reversal is imminent, so says the AI. Amen.
No, it's definitely a time to just stop and pause. I didn't see this coming. This was really weird.
Yeah, so, this is wild. This is the electromagnetic nature of volcanism. Think about that. I mean, this is something that, this particular one is pretty dramatic. But, it does happen. And the other thing we always see, too, around very active volcanoes often is UAPs, UFOs. Very, very interesting times, to say the least. Get out there, get some exercise, take a walk with your buddy, or better yet, maybe a jog if you're able to. We were hitting our exercise routine. We're going to share a lot more of what we do, exercise and just overall wellness and total care on a regular basis, as we want to help people prepare, because we were talking about it to pull no punches, saying that you got to be ready for what's coming physically, mentally, and spiritually. All three. You got to be ready holistically. You want to be in the best shape of your life, or as close as you can to it. Now, I know a lot of us are maybe in our 6th or 7th decade of life, and you might think, oh, well, how can I be in anywhere as close to? You'd be amazed, again, especially because we're no longer in the Kali Yuga. And there's going to be some rapid changes going on. And I do think once we get through the bumpy road, ultimately it's going to be a much more rosier pasture ahead.
Hang in there.
Absolutely. Much love. We welcome you again on Patreon. If you need to make an appointment for energy work, biofield tuning, Vedic astrology, again, you can reach us at evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com. Again, life coaching, spiritual coaching as well. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.